1. The rejection of the social contract. They look at me and see a desert. They see a man who stands alone in a crowd of 20,000 and they assume I am thirsty. They do not realize I am the well. Tonight at the gala, she approached me, a woman the world would call a 10. She was draped in silk that whispered against her skin, a scent of crushed gardenias following her like a cloud of pheromones. She leaned in, her hand brushing the sleeve of my designer suit, her eyes dilated with the expectation of a hunt. She spoke of connection, of chemical fire, of the things she could do that no other woman could. I looked at her, and all I saw were variables. I saw a person who would require negotiation, a person whose rhythm would never perfectly align with the electrical firing of my own synapses. She was a distraction from the masterpiece. I appreciate the craftsmanship of your presentation, I told her, my voice devoid of the hunger she expected. But you are offering me a candle when I have already harnessed the sun. You cannot take me where I am capable of going. No one can. The look on her face was one of structural collapse. She couldn't conceive of a man who didn't need the validation of her anatomy. I turned and walked away, not out of malice, but out of a preference for the superior. 2. The philosophy of the closed circuit. Why do I prefer the self? Because the human body is a masterpiece of engineering, yet most people treat it like a rented room. They rely on the clumsy hands of others to find the switches. They settle for good enough because they are too afraid to look in the mirror and realize they are their own greatest lover. Self-pleasure is not a substitute. It is the ultimate destination. When I am with myself, there is no performance. There is no, am I doing this right? Or is she satisfied? There is only the pure, unadulterated flow of dopamine and electricity. I am the architect, the builder, and the resident. I have spent years decoding the map of my own nerves. I know the exact pressure, the exact velocity, the exact mental image required to trigger a cascade that would leave any partner paralyzed by its intensity. People come with problems. They come with baggage, with mismatched desires, with the inevitable friction of two separate souls trying to occupy one space. I have removed the middleman. I have achieved sexual sovereignty. 3. The ritual, the inner sanctuary. I returned to my penthouse. The city lights below were a chaotic mess of millions of people looking for something outside themselves. I closed the automated blinds, sealing myself into a world of shadow and soft amber light. I stripped away the suit. Each layer of clothing was a layer of the world's expectations being discarded. I stood before the glass, my body a silent testament to self-discipline. I didn't reach for a phone. I didn't reach for a video. My mind is the most graphic library on earth. I began by breathing, deep rhythmic draws of air that oxygenated the blood. I watched my own chest rise and fall. I began with the psychological edge. I closed my eyes and visualized the internal landscape of my own desire. I am a master of the conscious peak. I don't just feel, I witness. My hand found the silk of my own skin. It wasn't a rush to the finish. It was a study in texture. I started at the pulse points, the neck, the inner wrist, the soft skin of the thigh. I was building a charge, like a capacitor holding energy. I focused on the spiritual nature of the act. This is the moment I connect with the universe, not through a stranger, but through the divine machinery of my own biology. 4. The graphic descent, the ultimate peak. When I finally focused on the center of my being, the intensity was already at a level most men only reach at the moment of release. Because I am in total control, I can edge the very boundaries of my sanity. I am the master of the friction. I use the heat of my own palms, the precise grip of fingers that know every millimeter of the landscape. The visuals in my mind were filthier than any film. They were raw, abstract, and perfectly tailored to my specific frequency. I moved with a rhythmic, mechanical grace. The sound of my own breath was a symphony. I wasn't just masturbating. I was conducting a high-voltage experiment on my own consciousness. The wild nature I seek is internal. It is the feral, screaming joy of the nerves as they reach a state of total saturation. I watched my reflection as the climax approached. I didn't close my eyes. I wanted to see the moment the man disappeared and the sovereign took over. The explosion was total. It wasn't a localized sensation, it was a total system reboot. Every muscle in my body locked. My spine felt like a lightning rod. Because there was no one else to manage, no one else to hold, I could surrender 100% of my focus to the sensation. It was a landslide of white light, a rhythmic clenching liberation that lasted far longer than any shared encounter ever could. When the waves finally subsided, I didn't feel lonely. I felt victorious. I felt the profound benefit of self-pleasure, the realization that I am enough. I am my own peak. I am the filth factor.